Hey everyone, in addition to me constantly wanting to help educate and inform my fellow Canadians in regards to the philosophy of liberty, what that entails, what that means, I also, as you understand, those of you who pay attention and watch my videos on a regular basis, I love breaking through and deciphering the kind of political rhetoric or propagandist message that those in the established media try to jam into your head. I recognized many years ago that no, the people that are entrenched in the establishment media are part and parcel and accomplices who continually align with those in the political ruling class in this country, and as a result constantly give us improper, invalid, or incorrect information. And it's not done because they're just incompetent, although I expect some of them truly are incompetent. But the bulk of the information that you get in regards to the politics of the day is very much done with a particularly constructive narrative and ideology as the basis for how they report on the news of the day, or things that Canadians really need to know to be properly informed in regards to their social, economic, or political decisions. What I find so amazing and outrageous about this, though, is the fact that they've got so many people beholden to a particular narrative that anyone that's paying attention realizes that, hey, you guys are constantly contradicting yourselves on a continuing, ongoing basis. And that's always to be expected, and it's always going to happen. Like I say, if you just talk about things from an ideological perspective rather than using objective logic, reason, or common sense, then you sound exactly like the kind of proponents or pundits that propagate our news and information in Canada, or at least the majority of them. Headline out of CBC News, Nova Scotia: who will rebuild after a climate disaster as workers retire and weather worsens? We simply don't have enough tradespeople to rebuild after an event. This being reported by David Burke, CBC News, December 30th, 2018. When floodwaters recede and hurricane-force winds die down, Canadians can expect it will take longer for their homes to be rebuilt or their power to be restored if the country's labor market doesn't soon catch up with the realities of climate change. More powerful and destructive storms are driving up demand for construction workers, power line technicians, and even insurance adjusters. We simply don't have enough tradespeople to rebuild after an event, said Craig Stewart, Vice President of Federal Affairs with the Insurance Bureau of Canada. Presently, we are 3 months out from the tornadoes hitting Ottawa, and there are whole apartment units that haven't been touched and are filled with snow now because there hasn't been anybody available to work on them. Once again, folks, I was just dealing with the jobless numbers for December in a video that I did just before this one, and it suggested that the participation rate is continuing to decline. It's down to just barely 65% of the population, so that means 35% of the population aren't actively participating in the labor or workforce. So, like I say, there's not even a need to bring in all these illegal immigrants or even the legal immigrants. They say we need them to fill these jobs. But meanwhile, there's literally millions of Canadians out there that aren't even actively participating in the labor force. Listen, entice the ones that are already here. Reward them, compensate them properly, and you'll see a substantial portion of that 35% that will start to participate in the labor or workforce. But no, like I say, the government doesn't want to do that. They want to find people or strangers from halfway around the world to fill these positions. But meanwhile, they say a lot of the jobs that these people are coming here for, well, due to automation and robots, well, there'll be less pools of jobs. What's it? At least if you deal with the domestic population, no matter which way it goes, whether there's more jobs created or less jobs created due to animation or automation, well, at least you're talking about your domestic workforce. Why bring in hundreds of thousands per year, ultimately millions of people to this country to fill jobs that they're either going to go away eventually or in short time frame, as some of them suggest in the media, due to robots and automation, or the only jobs they're coming here for are like construction and trades, which, like I say, there's lots of tradespeople in this country that can train the younger generations to fill these roles or these positions. So once again, we don't need a mass influx of immigrants to fill these positions when you look at the fact that the participation rate, as far as those who participate in the jobs, who work in this country, is only 2/3. Only 2/3 of the country actually does the work. And if you think about it, using that Pareto distribution principle, you know, a very, very much smaller amount of people actually do all the real work that provides for everyone else in society. So do we really need more? No, no. Everything that I keep reading keeps telling me time and time again, the warning signs and the alerts keep suggesting that everything that the central planners are doing to try to mask over or paint over the current economic issues that we have, the way they're doing it, yeah, it's going to prove to be detrimental and destructive for the long-term prosperity of not just the Canadians that are here today, but even some of these people that they're bringing here to fill these positions. I think they're not just screwing the domestic population, they're ultimately going to end up screwing a lot of these people that they're bringing to this country. This ain't going to work out good for anybody, well, except for maybe these central planners or these authoritarian hacks. But even then, I don't think it'll even work out beneficial for them. Well, maybe in the short term, and really that's what the political establishment or the ruling class care about, because they only have to deal with it for a few years and then they can move on, right? They could fuck everything up, they could screw us all up, and then they just have to retire from politics and go on and retire in their nice cozy cottage community or suburban gated neighborhood, right? So the rest of us will have to deal with all the shit that they're doing. They won't. Many workers are tied up with large commercial, industrial, and residential projects in Ontario and British Columbia, according to Build Force Canada, an organization that studies the construction industry and puts together long-term labor forecasts. The demand for people who can build homes, pave streets, wire a building, or practice any kind of skilled trade connected to construction is expected to increase in coming years. Once again, all jobs and occupations that pretty much most Canadians can do, right? So why do we need this mass influx of immigrants? Not to fill these jobs or positions, I can guarantee that. It's about time to get some of those younger millennials to step up the plate, get out of mommy's basement, and start filling some of these jobs instead of bringing immigrants to do it for us. Bill Ferreira, Build Force Executive Director, said a quarter of the construction workforce across the country is expected to retire between now and 2027. Some 42,000 new workers will need to be hired in the next 10 years. But none of Build Force labor projections even consider climate change in their workforce calculations. I mean, think about it. 42,000 new workers. I mean, they're bringing in excess of at least 300,000 just the legal migrants. And these are the jobs that actually are going to really matter. Like pencil pushers for the government or public sector jobs, or a lot of these fucking jobs that really, like, you could eliminate so many jobs in this country and you wouldn't even know they were gone. Because most of them, like I say, in big government kind of countries, which is what we live in today in Canada, like I say, people are paid to basically do nothing, or the most minimal amount of work, and it's just to keep them so that they at least have something to occupy their time in another day. What a complete waste of resources and money, or the productive labor and wealth that's produced in this country. What a complete waste of a substantial portion of that. I mean, 42,000? You tell me there isn't 42,000 younger Canadians, you know, from the millennial age, or even maybe some of those young Gen Zers that are coming up and getting close to that age where they'll be starting to enter the workforce. You tell me there's not 42,000 of them in Canada that could replace these jobs? Really? Really? Is that what you're trying to suggest here? Yeah, I'm not falling for that one. Yeah, sorry, I'm not that naive, and I sure as shit hope most of my Canadian counterparts aren't that naive either. Anyways, I'll post a link to this article in the description of the video below. But once again, we're seeing, folks, contradictory reports, and I'm helping to clear the air and clear that fog out for you and show you that the establishment media and the ruling class in this country, they're constantly misrepresenting reality and misconstruing the social, economic, and political sphere to such a degree that Canadians, no wonder they're so confused and confounded. They don't even know where to turn anymore, right? And maybe the central planners do that with that intention in mind. Keep the masses confused and confounded. Then we can step up and plate and say, hey, look, I'll tell you what to think. I'll tell you how to think. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. Leave all that to us. Just follow while we lead. What I'm saying is, watch out where they're leading you, folks. It very well may end up being a sheer cliff that once you've stepped over that edge, well, good luck at that point. It's Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.